Deontay Wilder, a picture was released of him looking like he is in tremendous shape, angry, in Miami, training for the fight. Picture released by Tyson Fury, right? Now, I also have been noticing lately that there is more and more strange, like information coming out about Deontay Wilder, that when you check with Deontay Wilder's camp, you find that the information is not being validated by people who are close to Deontay Wilder. But
bingo, counterpunch. Now this is coming from a Fanon, an LDBC channel, and even he's witnessing and noticing that more and more information that has been coming out, or stories or narratives that's been coming out about Deontay Wilder isn't even true, hasn't even been true, and it just makes it strange that even they are beginning to know that. Okay, but I think he needs to really worry about, or be more concerned about, where they're starting from. Right? Because a lot of this information is not coming from Wilder's camp. It's not. It's coming from outside sources, people that supposedly support Wilder or exploit Wilder for financial gain. That's where these stories are coming from. It's almost like this. If you go to the grocery store and you see People magazine, that's a valid magazine. But if you look, I don't know if you guys in the UK, but over here, it's called the National Inquisitor. Okay, the National Inquisitor is one of those newspapers that's for smut, propaganda, slander, false slander, right? Just stories that are made up by certain writers that could possibly happen to entertain the hearts and minds of America, right? That's pretty much what those stories consist of, and what those newspapers, that's what they're designed for. Those stories that you hear a lot of times and you keep hearing are no different. Okay. This is People's magazine. So if you hear something from People's, that means it's been reported by supposedly credible sources. So, but in that case, you see a lot of that, and then I want to go on this video and break down what he said about Deontay Wilder with snakes in his camp. Okay. So here we are.
Into the air. One of the belts was the WBA belt. And that WBA belt, when it left Tyson Fury, it flew up in the air and landed in the lap of the PBC. The PBC had a fighter, still has a fighter, named Charles Martin, King Charles Martin. But they decided, instead of getting King Charles Martin an opportunity to unify with Deontay Wilder, they did something different. The IBF, or the PBC, was able to negotiate a fight between their guy and somebody named Anthony Joshua, who was not even represented by him.
Okay, well, let me explain this to Fanon. Let me counterpunch Fanon. And I know where he's going with this. This is a pretty good video, because it was surprising to hear him say it. But the reason why Charles Martin and his people did that was because the money was in the UK. Okay, that was the problem, the money. It wasn't the fact that Wilder wasn't he really wasn't a name then. He really wasn't. Back then, for one, Wilder fought Bermain Stervern to get the WBC. Okay, it was a vacant title. Okay, and that's how he became a champion. And then Charles Martin received his IBF championship belt by fighting, I forget the guy's name, but he hurt his leg. Okay, he hurt his leg during the fight, and when he hurt his leg during the fight, it was one of them situations where Charles Martin won by default. Okay, he won by default, and it was Glasscoff. That was his name. Okay, um, and Glasscoff injured himself in the ring, and I'd always wondered what that fight would have produced had it even continued, because no real like hits or punches have really landed. And Glasscoff was just, I don't know, maybe he came in there with an injury for all we know. We don't know. Okay, we just know he couldn't continue. Therefore, Charles Martin won that belt. Now, Fanon is right. Okay, he's right about one thing. They should have negotiated a unification with Wilder and Charles Martin, but they didn't do that. And the reason why Charles Martin didn't do that, his people, they wanted to go and fight Anthony Joshua. You know, Anthony Joshua wasn't even a champion at that time. Okay, he wasn't a world champion, but he had the money and he had the following. So if you're going to go to a new land that has the money, you're going to go. Okay, so that's why he went. Wilder could not guarantee, he couldn't guarantee, what was it, 8 million that he fought Anthony Joshua for? I'm not sure. Let me try to find it real quick. Let's see. Yeah. 6 million pounds, 8.5 million. He could not make that with Wilder. I'm sorry. It just was, the money wasn't there for Wilder. Wilder wasn't even making anything near that. Okay. So it's like comparing a watermelon to a grape at that time, because Wilder himself wasn't he wasn't a favorite champion. His manager called him a baby champion. And I don't know what the hell the management of Charles Martin called him. He was still the king, Prince Martin, you know. So the money wasn't there. It just wasn't there. So he went over to fight Anthony Joshua. That explains why he went. He went for the money. He didn't go necessarily thinking that Joshua was better than Wilder. He just went over there because the money was more lucrative. It was actually money. Wilder was getting like 500,000, 200,000 at that time. Okay. So, you know, I think he had received 1.9 or 9. I think he received 900,000 for the rematch with Stavern. I can't remember what his fight purse was, but it was nowhere near 6 million pounds. Okay, so that's the difference. So if you see somewhere, well, wait a minute, let me fight, damn the unification. Okay, yeah, I can get 2 belts. All right. But then, wait, whoa, how much? $8 million? He took the money. Okay, he took the money, and that's where we're at. But let me continue.
It was a young, up-and-coming heavyweight who did not have a belt but an Olympic gold medal, and the PBC had an opportunity to make a fight between Deontay Wilder or a fight with Charles Martin and Anthony Joshua. Guess who got the fight and the opportunity to become a champion over Deontay? You know the answer to that. It's Anthony Joshua. They went with giving Eddie Hearn a free shot at a belt that they knew he was going to win.
Okay. All right. Well, let me counterpunch that. First off, the PBC, he's blaming the PBC. And I know this is the problem a lot of times. Well, hey, they gave Eddie Hearn a free shot. Well, do you see, why would you be worried about Eddie Hearn? You know, and when he was referring to Wilder, he was not talking about Shelley Finkel. When he was referring to Charles Martin, he wasn't talking about his management. But when he talks about Anthony Joshua, he talks about Eddie Hearn. So it was almost like, okay, I already see the dislike between, you know, the LDBC with Eddie Hearn because, you know, the differences. You know, if Anthony Joshua was with Al Heyman, this would have been a different story. Why? Because Al Heyman looks like Anthony Joshua. They have the same pigmentation. Okay, so it's like if Anon was pissed off. So you see how now the informative turns into the personal. You see what I'm saying? So he's like, well, hey, yeah, you gave that, the PBC, you gave that to Eddie Hearn. Well, that was up to really Charles Martin. Charles Martin took that case. He decided. It wasn't the PBC. Okay, he made the PBC go by what he wanted. That's why I know a lot of these politics when it comes to fighters versus their promotional companies is a lot of it's BS. Okay, because Charles Martin was a PBC fighter and he was able to fight Joshua across that pond for $8.5 million. Okay, he was available to do that, and to counterpunch Fanon, there was no guarantee that Anthony Joshua was just going to win that fight. Like he said, he was an up and coming fighter, but that didn't mean he was tested. Okay, that didn't mean he was like the creme de la creme. He was a good fighter, but we didn't know who was going to win that fight. Personally, that was the first fight I saw of Anthony Joshua when he knocked out Charles Martin, because I saw the Charles Martin Glasscoff disqualification win for Martin. And when I saw him fight Joshua and saw Joshua knock this guy out in 2 rounds, I was like, damn, counterpunch. So I think it's one of these things where this is getting too long, so I'll pick up on another video, volume 2. But I think this is a situation where Fanon, being, you know, a consortium, a part of a consortium of who, you know, of what they believe in and stuff like that, and how they view views and how they see promoters and stuff, I think he was mad over that. Now, does he have some points? He has some points. I mean, they could have made that fight. He could have made that fight between Al Heyman could have made that fight between Wilder and Charles Martin. But then could they insure Charles Martin? Because Charles Martin had a choice. He had a choice to go over there. Okay, but could they insure him 8.5? No freaking way. No way in Hades that they can insure him that amount of money. So he went over, you know, to Eddie Hearn. And I know that angered, you know, the this particular commentator, Fanon. You know, and I could tell because his whole spirit changed when he started talking about Eddie Hearn. So, but it is what it is. And Anthony Joshua himself took out Charles Martin. So where did that leave? Where does that leave Deontay Wilder? Okay, that left Deontay Wilder without a dancing partner. That's where he's getting at. Okay, and I will pick this back up in another video. You guys tell me what you think about this volume 1. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.